When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you're in the championship rounds with King Amin of Essex. Let's get to it. Lots of news and notes to cover. Let's talk about the obvious controversy. First of all, I hate when controversies kind of cloud the action that we saw. I'm talking about Yokasta Valle versus Seniesa Estrada. Estrada won 97-93 on the scorecards. Like I said, I scored it a draw. A lot of people, though, a lot of people seem to believe that it was Valle's fight. And if I'm being honest with you, I spoke to a lot of people, fighters included. I had to like stop myself from being biased. And this is how crazy boxing is, right? It's so objectively subjective. And what I mean by that, there's a phrase that you often hear, it depends on what you're looking for. So you have to look for body shots, look for catch encounters. You have to look for slips. You have to look for punches that don't land as cleanly. Um, and again, it like my bias mind, Yokasta Valle won, right? 90, but um objectively in acknowledging Estrada's ability and Estrada's skill, despite there being some sort of, and this is, you got to put your biases to the side. So no matter how much of a fan I am of Valle, I recognize what Estrada was able to do. Now, a lot of it was flash and flare. Think Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler, the Matador thing could give you the complexion that she was in control, but at the same time, she got wobbled in the eighth round, literally taken off her feet. So, um, the one thing I hope, and this is where I think Valle pointed out, and she kept using the phrase professional, professional, that as a professional, Estrada should go immediately to the rematch. Don't allow the personal feelings you have against Coach G and all the personal feelings you have against people criticizing you for not being bilingual. Put all that to the side. Be a person of honor, man or woman, and give us and give Yokasta Valle a rematch. Because truthfully, take away that headbutt, it's a much different fight. I fucking guarantee it. Take away that headbutt, it's a much different fight. We saw it all weekend where blood and headbutts change the way a fighter can approach their game plan. So please, please, please give us a rematch. And Valle has been gracious in defeat, and that's what makes her a world-class champion. All right. Moving on. Oshae Jones. My first time really getting a chance to take a good look at her in the ring. I think she's very skilled. Obviously has to improve the defense a little bit, but I think she was especially going for the knockout. So, there's a bit of sacrifice when when you're on the offense, but still, I think she's a very talented fighter. I think she's a little green. Um, so I'd like to see her. I hear people calling for a title shot. Certainly not. Certainly not Clarissa Shields. Like, she ain't in the GOAT's league just yet. Let people build. God. Um, but I'd like to see her against Mary Spencer out of Canada. Um, I think that's a great fight because Spencer herself is a two-time contender against Femke Hermans. Now, if you guys think, or whomever thinks, that Oshae Jones is ready, I know Toledo, Ohio does. They want her in there against one of the champions. And who could that be? Terri Harper's a champ at 154, or it could be Femke Hermans. Hermans is I believe she's the IBF and IBO champ. So let's see if any of those fights are in Jones's future. Again, they move him fast in women's boxing, so there's no reason why she can't be in a title shot. But I think Harper might want some rest. And Hermans, we haven't heard from her since she captured those two belts. But maybe if the dollars make sense, she'd be willing to leave Belgium. Get it cracking. All right. So that's more of the highlight. So let's talk about some of the fights that are anticipated, right? Natasha Jonas versus Michaela Mayer. Yes, we all need to see that. And kudos, especially if this is happening sooner than later. Kudos to Jonas. This is what I'm trying to say. It was controversy in Mayer and Jonas. Jonas is such a professional. She understands. Give the people what they want. I'm sure it's a lucrative venture, as entertaining, as exciting. It was really much like a crossover fight too, because that was one of those fights that I think quietly propelled women's boxing with Mayer's visibility, both being from the United States, being on the Olympic team, and her historical pedigree within boxing, right? Also, I mean, Natasha Jonas, she is a legend, a living legend, fighting legend, absolutely. So that fight, quiet as kept, I think, elevated the visibility of women's boxing. So the rematch, it only makes sense. Same thing, Estrada rematch, it only makes sense. But I'm hoping that fight happens sooner than later. And maybe, the winner faces Sandy Ryan. I like that, right? Again, not immediately, don't just say Mayer, don't, but wouldn't that be great? The winner faces Sandy Ryan, right? And then you still got the winner of Price and McCaskill. 147 in women's boxing is heating the fuck up. Oh, and just throwing it in there, and I'll mention it. I saw something, and again, I'm just saying, Clarissa Shields versus Sandy Ryan. I'm here for it, but I'm not here for it. I'm here for it, but I'm not here for it. Yeah, because Sandy's big enough. If they wanted to do that fight at 154 or 160, but I say Sandy shouldn't do it higher than 154. But Sandy's being mentioned in the same breath as legends, and that's why I guess sometimes people take issue with the quote, but it's not just a quote, it's the champion's preference. They have the right to do that. So some people may say, well, why would Clarissa? Because she didn't say yes, she didn't say no. She said it's boxing. You never know. Um, I guess people would question and say, why be so ready or cool with taking a Sandy Ryan fight versus not taking the Bumgarner fight? People will ask that. I'm asking it. Shit, are we not allowed to ask questions? And we ask a question, now we're a hater? No, people want to know. Inquisitive minds. You know what I'm saying? I think, you know, we have the right to know. So now the flip side of that is, like I said, it's champion's preference. In boxing, people get to choose their dance partners. And for whatever reason, sometimes particular fighters don't choose each other. We've seen that with Spence and Thurman. We've seen it with, whoever. I'm just saying. People avoid choosing each other because I think in a way you do need some mutual respect and some mutual friendship in order to come to terms with whatever you're willing to give and take, both in and out of the ring. So, but yeah, if that happens, it happens. But again, Sandy Ryan, can't stop talking about her because she's great. All right. Also, talking about Clarissa Shields, I'm going to mention her former nemesis, Savannah Marshall, but not because she's defending her title against Shadasia Green, which will be a great fight, right? If everybody thinks that Green is not who we thought she was, hell, give her a chance to get Savannah Marshall and make it an easy title defense, right? That's what I say. Don't bring up Kay Scott from middleweight. She's only 2-0. She's a very experienced fighter, amateur, yada yada, but don't bring her up from middleweight and make a title defense. But Savannah Marshall is getting in the cage. She's going to make her PFL MMA debut June 8th. Now, I'm guessing that'll also spell, I'm thinking, just hear me out, because it's business. You may see Shields, Marshall in the cage, and then the rematch in the ring. That is for entertainment. That's for lucrative business ventures. Does it make sense for this thing of ours? Maybe not so much, because if I'm Savannah Marshall, I don't know why she's not trying to give Franchon Crews-Dezurn the rematch, right? It's only right. It's unification. Don't you want to be undisputed? So sounds like a little bit of duck sauce to me. Quack quack. But again, fighters have to do things because, quite frankly, Savannah Marshall isn't big without attaching her name to Clarissa Shields, which is why she needs to establish her legacy. Go on and defeat whomever's in front of her, but not meaningless fights that mean something to both the perception and the landscape. fight Shadeja Green. It's not only giving Shadeja Green an opportunity to bounce back, but showing like, nah, it's only one at the top of super middleweight. Because then if you beat Green, then you got to give Franchon Crews-Dezurn the rematch. Now, I don't know how much money's involved in that, but that's just what makes sense for us. But if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. But what fight I do know is going to happen in a division that you've heard me talk about, probably someone that you've heard me mention if you've been paying attention, that is Clara Lescurat out of Argentina. She is the WBA Super Flyweight Division champion, 115 pounds. Who's in the super flyweight division? Jasmine Artesia, also Shannon Ryan. I know you heard me say them names before. So the 10-0 Lescurat is defending her title against Lynn Sandstorm out of Sweden. Good fighter. She's 8-2-2. Yeah, I think it's a good fight. I think it's a very good fight. It's in Sydney, Australia. I think Lindstrom's fighting out of Australia, even though she is Swedish. Lindstrom, if not a former title holder, definitely a contender. And this is a good fight. Title defense. Lescurat is 10-0. But again, I'd like to see, and this is a good step up in competition. If she pulls through, or the winner of this bout, again, why not? If you think it's about the money and fans' tendency to buy in financially, take the fight to the UK. Shannon Ryan's available. I promise you. She was doing commentary just last week. Oh, you want to go stateside? Well, here you are. Florida's a great place to fight. Tampa, Orlando, Miami, they're fighting all up and down. So yeah, I would love to see that happen, but you got to see what happens on April 24th, because that's when that fight goes down. Now, it is fight week, ladies and gentlemen. We have some significant action, and I'm gonna take a little bit of a deep dive, so pay attention, all right? First and foremost, Marie-Pierre Hull out of Canada. She's 9-1, and listen, her only loss is to Sandy Ryan. They were fighting for a vacant WBO title. So she's a pretty good fighter. She's got some good wins, and she's in there. It's a bounce back fight against a veteran. She's in there against Marissa Joana Portillo out of Argentina. So you have to allow fighters the room to return to action. And again, I think fighting out of Canada, she's not as noticeable. The Ryan fight may be her most significant, but she may be able to find herself in a title shot. This is 140 pounds. Who we got at 140 pounds? Because who just Katie Taylor. So this could be an eventual opponent for Katie Taylor. Perhaps it could be it could be Chantel Cameron's bounce back fight before the rematch with Taylor. We don't know. But yeah, that's one way of sorting things out. That is on the undercard, though, of a fight that's out of Canada with another Canadian, Kim Clavel. And I gotta say, Kim Clavel, her most controversial loss was to Jessica Neri Plata. Now, I had an opinion on Plata in that fight. I thought Clavel won. My opinion has since changed because I saw Neri Plata go on to do some real live shit. But as it stands, Clavel is 17-2, and she is a hell of a fighter. Hell of a fighter. I think she got R word robbed, but here she is bouncing back now. Again, the losses, Jessica Neri Plata and unified champ Evelyn Bermudez, but again, she is a pretty good fighter. Pretty good fighter. She's got, I think she's got a great chance to get back in title contention, because 108 pounds is kind of thin. That's was a light flyweight. It's kind of thin. So she can find herself in a rematch against Neri Plata if she does well. Her opponent from Spain by way of Morocco, Farah El Bousari, she's 8-3 with 3 KOs. And although she's 8-3, all 3 of the losses are significant to top level fighters. you guys wouldn't know, but Maurice Gangleaf, out of Germany. She fought Ebony Bridges once upon a time. Um, Fabiana Butiki out of the Czech Republic. She just fought recently. But yeah, pretty good fight. Tune in. And I mean, that's tomorrow. That's on a top ranked card out of Canada. So tune in. So you got two bouts on that particular card. And I think the most important bout of the weekend that is on the undercard of Richardson Hitchens versus Gustavo Lemos is going to be Sky Nicholson. Sky Nicholson will be defending, excuse me, she was granted the interim WBC title, but it's kind of vacant, even though she had the interim. So she's got to get the full, and she's going to have her hands full against Sarah Mahfoud. Mahfoud's only loss is to Amanda Serrano, I believe. So you're gonna have a hard time upending in the common opponent. I like it. I'm not sure if Nicholson will ever get the Serrano bout, but if things keep happening for Serrano the way they are, as far as getting a little long in the tooth and not going to be built for those brawls, especially if you intend on going 3-minute rounds. Hey, I love it, but Sky Nicholson is still trying to angle a way to get at Serrano, and this is a good way to do it. Now, am I expecting a tough fight? Yes, but I'm expecting Sky to pretty much kangaroo around the ring and avoid Mahfoud. Mahfoud's gonna have to really, kind of chase her down a bit, come forward with the jab, and maybe see Nicholson is a southpaw, so she's going to be trying to counter hook over the top, but she's got to find a way to slow Nicholson down. Maybe go to the body. I don't think I've ever seen anybody try to go to Sky Nicholson's body, so maybe except Eddie Hearn. Maybe that's the key to this one, but Nicholson is a slick boxer, and she demonstrated her power in the last fight. And I ain't calling her a puncher, but what I'm saying is, when you start getting the knockouts later in your career, it's not always, especially as the opposition typically tends to step up. Technique has improved in order for her to get that knockout, is what I'm saying. So she's continuing to improve, and it's going to be an interesting fight. You guys got to tune in to watch. So lots of stuff here today, lots of action coming this week. And like I said, the bulk of it will be tomorrow on that ESPN card. And then you got Sky Nicholson on the weekend. And it's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. So drop a like, thumbs up, comment, steal the information, and pretend that you did all the hard work on your own. But anything you do will help us to spread the word, spread the gospel on women's boxing, because women's boxing is boxing, and I'm your guy. All right. Thank you for joining me. Be back soon. Peace.